What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Broc.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Broc, and tonight we're continuing our Legends of the Galaxy series with none other than the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle.
Yes.
So what we do with these is, just a reminder, we talk about our memories with the wrestler from our personal lives, how we would book them in a Legends Fed and dream matches we'd like to see them in. And then we take them into the future and how we would adapt them into the Champions of the Galaxy universe. So that's how we do it. I chose Kurt Angle because it's a homer pick and he's awesome. But yeah. I guess I'll start with my memories of Kurt Angle. My biggest one was probably, I think it was Judgment Day 2001 was the first pay-per-view post 9/11. And Kurt Angle won the world championship there. And it was just a really like rah-rah Americana moment. It was pretty cool. Like the entire locker room, faces and heels, came out to celebrate with him. It was pretty cool. It was a fun moment to be a part of. Um, but he's just had so many classic matches. That's just the one that stuck out to me just because of the cultural significance, I guess, of it.
Yeah.
Because it was the first pay-per-view after 9/11. So it was interesting.
Yeah. See, for me, I had heard of him because I actually watch Olympic wrestling. I'm one of the few people I know that go out of my way to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I don't watch Greco, but I watch the amateur stuff,
Hmm.
the freestyle.
Yeah, like being from the area, we knew of Kurt Angle long
Yeah.
before.
And I don't think I ever watched him wrestle.
Uh-huh.
Um, when that happened, I think he was in that Olympics. There was a Canadian guy named Daniel Ngali, and he
Okay.
won the division just below him.
All
So that's
right.
what I was watching. Um, I wasn't too worried about watching USA win a medal in wrestling.
Why is that?
And then when I saw him appear on TV, I was shocked and I was excited for him too because he was a legitimate amateur guy. We had seen some before, but they always get squashed.
Yeah, they didn't really use them well in WWE.
No, like Brad Reagans, he was
Hmm.
solid wrestler, out the door. Iron Sheik had a great Olympic background, amateur background, but you never saw it.
Right. They
Um,
kind of turned him into goof.
yeah, Danny Hodge, one of the greatest amateurs ever.
Hmm.
And he was a junior heavyweight, and, but they didn't allow him to do much against bigger guys, even though he could. And
Right,
if he
right.
wanted to, he could have, you know,
He probably could have legitimately beat up anybody in his era
yeah,
if he wanted to. There's
yeah.
all those stories of his grip strength of just how it was like superhuman.
My favorite story on Danny Hodge, even though we're talking about Kurt Angle, but just going into the amateur
They're of
stuff.
the same vein.
Yeah, Brody had a habit of just taking advantage and eating up the smaller guys on purpose and just roughhousing them with it.
Hmm.
He tried it with Danny, and Danny showed Brody exactly what a shooter can do. And I guess he took him down and was stretching him out and just let him know, dude, I can end this at any time.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and Brody still got the win over, like
Yeah. But it was a
on
lesson learned, I'm sure.
yeah, and it was a lesson learned, and you know Brody got the respect of what an actual shooter can do, and so
Hmm.
it opened his eyes and changed how he treated some people from what I had read,
Well, that's good.
and
It was,
then
go ahead.
but for me, my most memorable matches with Kurt are against Chris Benoit.
Yeah, they had some good ones.
Those were phenomenal. They had that whole series of matches, and then they became a tag team.
Hmm. I honestly believe that if whenever they did the brand split, if SmackDown did not have Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, I don't think it would have survived
No,
because it was what carried that show for a good year, year and a half.
that feud was amazing.
Hmm. They ended up becoming tag team champions at the
Yep.
end of it and everything. It was good.
And then when he led his the Olympic squad
Yeah, Team Angle,
with Sheldon Benjamin and
Charlie
uh,
Haas.
Charlie Haas, yeah. And they win he's a heavyweight champion, the tag team champions. I'm like, this is a phenomenal tag team,
Hmm.
and I was loving it.
Yeah, it was good stuff. That early SmackDown era Kurt Angle was probably the best.
And then watching him pair up with Edge and Christian was just comedy gold.
Yeah.
When he's reading the signs and it's like, I'm a dork. Oh yeah, this is great.
Team Eck.
He had a great, like, he allowed himself to be made fun of, like when he's got the little cowboy hat on,
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
ukulele. He went all in.
Hmm. He
He
got
did
it.
everything. Yeah,
He got it. He knew that he could legitimately fight all these guys,
yep,
but he understood that it was entertainment.
yeah. And then you
So
hear the story on him against Brock Lesnar to see who could get
yeah.
the point. And he goes, yeah, I beat him. He goes, but you know, Lesnar could have, and he says it. He goes, that dude could have easily killed me.
Yeah, that's just an amazing athlete. As fast and as strong as he is, Lesnar. I was wrong with the name of the pay-per-view. It was Unforgiven 2001.
Oh, okay.
And he beat Steve Austin for the WWE Championship in the main event. It was Alliance Steve Austin when he was part of Team WCW.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, but for Kurt, just watching him, like he made his, he trained for like 2 days and then made his debut.
yeah, yeah. Insane.
He trained with Christian,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and it was like, who makes their debut after 2 or 3 days of training?
Hmm.
He had a couple prelim matches in OVW just to get it down, and but yeah, they said he was an absolute natural.
I love the story too, where he thought he was going to come out and be this great baby face. And Vince is like, you may think that, he goes, but before you leave tonight, you're going to be the most hated man in this building. And Kurt's like, no, no way. And then he came out, he cut his promo the way he wanted to do it. The crowd turned on him, and then Vince got in the referee's ear and he's like, tell him to start shitting on the crowd. And he did. And then the rest is history.
Oh yeah, he did one thing where he talks about he's in Vancouver.
Hmm.
I was watching him in Vancouver, and he's like, and now this is going back where the Vancouver, he goes, and he talks about how the uh, he's making fun of Canada bit by bit,
Hmm.
and he goes, and then you have the Grizzlies, and he goes, and they don't beat anything.
Kurt Angle.
He was such a great, he like the Justin Bateman, the Jason Bateman of wrestling. He's such a perfect straight man.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, he was good. Definitely one of a kind, honestly. Like there's very few people that have been able to, just entertain the crowd with their personality, and then just whenever they got in the ring, you knew that they meant business.
Yeah.
You don't see
And
that very often.
I didn't watch him too much in TNA because I didn't really watch TNA.
Yeah. I mean, it was more of the same. He played the exact same character.
Yeah.
They made him a little bit more serious at first, but then he went right back into the goofy heel character that he was known for.
Yeah. And I think the last time I saw him wrestle was when he was coming out with uh what was it, Seth Rollins and all those guys.
Oh, the Shield. He took
The
Roman
Shield.
Reigns' place when he had the mumps.
He couldn't take the grin off his face.
No, it was hilarious when he came up behind them dressed as him, and he's just like Kurt Angle. So, I mean, I think we touched on a couple of them already, but what kind of fantasy matches would you book him in a Legends Fed?
In a Legends vet, I would like to see him in taking guys like Steve Williams or Cobb,
Hmm.
um, Danny Hodge, even, you
Yeah.
know, all
The
the actual wrestlers.
hmm I was thinking guys like Kurt Hennig. Um, who else is Brian Danielson? All these
Yeah,
guys have cards. You could do a whole series of great stuff with Kurt Angle.
yeah. If I had a real Fed, like
Everybody in their prime.
going back, you take Angle versus Bret Hart or Kurt
Hmm.
Hennig.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The things they'd be able to do would be. I'm sad we didn't get to see it because it would have been amazing.
Did Bret and Kurt ever face each other?
I don't believe so. I think Brett was in WCW by the time Kurt really came into the WWF, WWE at
Yeah,
the time.
I didn't know if it was just a tail end or
Yeah, 'cause I think Kurt debuted in '99, maybe 2000, and Brett was already in WCW by that time.
yeah, it's so long ago. The memory's hazy on coming and going.
Oh yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. But yeah, him and Brett would have been classic. I'd like to see them team up too. I think that would be a really awesome thing to see too.
Yeah, it could be good. I, I wasn't a huge fan of Kurt in tag teams. I viewed him
Hmm.
more as because he's an amateur guy, more of a singles.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't do a whole lot of tag team stuff. Like him and Benoit, trying to think who else. Just like a lot of one-off tag teams.
Yeah, or a night here and there type thing.
Hmm. I think he only won the tag titles with Benoit. Let me look that up.
I was just doing the same thing. What is he?
Yeah,
Kurt Angle Wikipedia say
the Kurt Angle Wikipedia.
championships.
Um, Tag team championship one time with Chris Benoit. They were the first ever SmackDown tag team champions. He's the 2000 King of the Ring.
Oh, he was a TNA World Tag Team Champion 3 times. Oh no, twice. Once
Sting and
with
AJ
Sting and once
Styles.
with AJ Styles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's done a lot.
WWF Tag Team Champion with Chris Benoit, and that's it.
He was the fifth ever Grand Slam champion in WWE.
And I did not know he captured the IWGP title.
Yep. Yep.
So
They
yeah,
were trying to do a program with him and Lesnar, and then Lesnar, I guess, never really followed through with the second or third match. But yeah, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. I was very excited when he got signed to the game.
oh yeah, that's why I bought the um that's why I bought that set.
Hmm. That set was stacked. That was a stacked set. Yeah, the Legends team's been killing it with the signings and stuff. I mean, there's not many people left. I kind of feel like we're at a point now where the only signings left are the ones that are blocked by WWE.
Or guys who just don't want to.
Yeah. So those guys seem to be coming around a little bit though,
Like,
here and there.
I've reached out to a few of them, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
A bunch of the Impact guys, like that not Impact that's in Iowa, the Impact that's actually on TV.
Hmm.
I reached out to a few of them that I know,
Yeah.
and like, hey, these guys have signed, and they're like, no, not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
understandable.
and I get it. I don't push it.
Hmm. I mean, they'll come around, I think, eventually. I think everybody gets to the point where they all understand it's a tribute to their career
Yeah.
later on. You know what I mean? Sometimes younger guys don't understand what it is,
Yep.
but it is what it is. I think a lot of these people will eventually come around. As far as the legends go, I think, there's there's only a very, very few glaring omissions, and I just feel like those are the ones that, a lot's going to have to happen for them to get into the game just because of contractual obligations and things like that.
Well, I was excited for the Nikita.
Yeah, that's a good one. This new Tragos set looks pretty awesome
And
too.
it damn well better like, and I saw it because I heard, that Nikita was going to be in it.
Hmm
And I'm like, it better be the Russian Nightmare Nikita and not Nikita with the hair, who's teaming with Sting.
Yeah, Magnum TA's replacement.
Yeah. I want the Russian Nightmare who fought Ric Flair in Clash of
hmm
Champions.
Yeah, yeah.
The 280-pound brute, not the
hmm
230-pound Nikita.
We already got Ivan in there. Team him up.
Yep. But how would you use Kurt in a GWF Fed?
So the thing I came up with was Colossus, whatever race he is,
Satidian or
Satiga or something like
yeah,
that. How do you say it?
he's from Satija or
Yeah,
whatever
Sagita,
we say it.
Sagita.
Kevin Butcher's gonna go. No,
He's going
it's
to correct us. Somebody needs to correct us because I'm sure we're saying it completely wrong. It's Sagita, Sagitta. Those guys, because he was the wrestling machine. So
yeah.
I'll take it a step further and actually like make him into a cyborg, and he'll be used as an enforcer for somebody, like the Rocket Men or somebody like that, or the Magnus Colby. He could just be like, a gatekeeper for that group. Not really interested in titles very much or anything like that, but just somebody who wants to prove that he could beat whoever the up and coming guy is. Just call him the Machine.
Even though Burt Kreischer might have that trademarked, we can.
Yep, it's okay. It's enough years have passed in whatever year he debuts.
I
Or it could be the Wrestling Machine. The Wrestling Machine works too.
the idea I had for him is an angle I'm slowly working out. Like I have um Torin Kalem, right?
Hmm
I, I I use that card, but I call it Torin Kalem Jr. I
Yeah,
mean, son, who's just as good as a wrestler as his dad,
yeah.
and he's in a series of matches against Terminus, who's also one of the best wrestlers. And I'm
hmm
doing the whole Benoit Kurt Angle thing where they're feuding and then eventually pair up.
Yeah.
I think I'd have Kurt join that group just as a bunch of solid
Yeah.
wrestlers.
Workhorses.
And trust me, I've thought about merging the odd time, because Greg Valentine's in there, Bundy's in there. I'm like, yeah, I could bring in one or two of
Yeah.
these.
I mean that it's been established to be part of the game. So you
So
very easily
I had
makes sense.
honestly thought about doing that with Kurt, just that, to use the card some more.
Hmm I kind of want to make a Cronus Fed with Legends guys, but I just don't think they can really hang in there with those cards.
Oh no.
But I mean, you could use the regular versions of cards, I guess, against Legends. Would be
Yeah.
fun in a Cronus setting. Chronos.
Oh, I know guys already do that. So
Hmm Be fun. He's one that I would definitely want to use in that scenario. Like he deserves to be up there with like the best of each planet's representative, plucked from time. Like I think he should be in that conversation.
yeah, he's so. Oh, even in that set, like you team up with Backlund.
Yeah, yeah. That set was stacked. Were they in the same one?
I don't
I,
know.
I think they were. I'm pretty sure that they
That's
were.
what I thought they were. I could be 100% wrong.
I'm pretty sure you're correct. I mean, those Traga stats are all pretty solid
Yeah,
as far as who you can get. trying to find a list.
But yeah, that's what I do. I'd make a team of legitimate wrestlers.
Yeah, it'd be fun. He could lead them.
That's what I end up doing with him.
Nice.
'Cause Kurt, for me, Kurt was one of the reasons I continued to watch wrestling.
Yeah, he was just so fun.
He was fun, and his matches were all top notch.
Yeah, he had good matches with everybody.
Yeah,
Because he was that right size where he could have good matches with the smaller guys, and he was big enough that he could have good matches with the bigger guys too.
yeah, because he was like 220 pounds.
Hmm. Maybe 6 foot, somewhere in that area.
So he was, Shawn Michaels was like 5'10", 180 pounds, 190 pounds as a world champion. So
Hmm.
Kurt filled that role a bit better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, their match was great. Was that WrestleMania 19, I think, where they fought? I forget which Mania it was, but it was the match of the night.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So just some of their stuff that they were able to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine like being physically able to do 90% of what any of these guys, anybody who steps in the ring can do. But especially at this point in my life, but especially guys like that.
Yeah. Just watching those guys work. Like I was never a big fan of Shawn Michaels, but I'll openly admit he's probably one of the top 5 workers ever.
Oh yeah, no question. Just look at his body of work, the matches he's had with all kinds of different opponents.
I remember seeing him in an NWA match against Billy Jack Haynes.
Hmm.
I think that's the first time I ever saw Shawn Michaels. And I didn't even realize it was Shawn Michaels until I watched it later on. I only watched that match because I was a Billy Jack Haynes fan.
I was gonna say that had to be a really young Shawn Michaels.
Yep. And I think he was called Sean Rickenbacken.
Okay.
And it wasn't until after I was like, and I watched the match, I'm like, holy crap, that's Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
Hickenbottom, I think that's what they
that's
call
his
him.
real last name.
Yeah. I think that's what they and that was the first time I saw him wrestle, and I was like, and it didn't even click
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you were watching it.
Nice. He's one that we need to get into the game, but with him being a WWE employee,
Oh, it'll never happen.
probably not. But it'd be awesome if it did. So we got to give a shout out to the first person to respond to our trivia question from a couple weeks ago. We record ahead of time. Don't tell anybody. But Kevin Butcher came to us with the answer to the who was the next wrestler to have an add one move, and that was the Draconian Sheik in 2099.
Oh, no, he calls himself Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I just looked up the match. It's on WWF TV.
nice.
Well, they own all the rights, so
Yeah, they own all those tapes.
but yeah, that's what I said. With Kurt Angle, I thought it was a good pick to do because he just has for a guy who just made a splash suddenly.
Yeah, yeah, out of
And I know
nowhere.
he suffered a lot of heat because he didn't have, wrestlers are always worried about paying your dues, paying your dues, paying your dues. You got to pay your dues.
Hmm.
He didn't pay his dues.
Right, right.
And I remember reading his book, and he talked about how what got him in with the boys,
Hmm.
and they were flying overseas, and he come out of the bathroom, and Vince McMahon tackled him, and then Vince stands up and he's like, "I just took down an Olympic gold medalist," and he had only been with the company like a month and a half,
Uh-huh.
2 months, and so he was going to get Vince back, so he had uh He waited until Vince went to the bathroom and switched seats with Christian, so Vince wouldn't expect it. And then he hops out and he tackles Vince, puts him on the ground. Like, this is a plane. These guys are wrestling. But he said Undertaker was sleeping, and he wakes up
Yeah.
and he's the new guy on top of the boss, and he just guzzles him, just grabs him by the throat and just starts squeezing. He goes, he pretty much passed out.
I've heard that story. It's funny because he thought he was trying to beat him up. Good stuff.
That's one of my favorite Kurt Angle stories on that.
Uh-huh. That wasn't even the plane ride from hell.
No. And then we'd be remiss not to talk about the Daniel Pewter.
Yeah.
Or Pewter thought he'd take care of Angle, try to legitimately tap him out.
Yeah.
Which didn't work out for Pewter too well because he got put in that Royal Rumble or King of the Ring.
It's a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Royal Rumble, and it was Benoit, Guerrero, and Bob Holly.
Yeah.
Just chopped the living shit out of him.
Yep.
Then he was done.
Then we never heard from him again. I don't know. It's hard to say what I would do in that situation if I did get one up on somebody like Kurt Angle and get him in a hold. What I would do, it's like what goes through your head, like, oh, I could beat this guy in a maid, or not knowing what was really going to happen later.
I've heard different stories where nobody told Pewter it was supposed to be a work. So he didn't know. He just went into instinct.
Yeah.
So I've heard different sides, and I've heard sides where Pewter was like, no, I'm going to take him down on national TV and make a name for myself.
Yeah. Never a good idea.
Ooh. Why don't we see that anymore? Well, folks,
it was a dumb idea all around to try and have that competition where you try and beat up Kurt Angle.
Yeah. I saw it on Pros versus Joes.
Really?
You remember that show?
Yep.
They actually had Kurt Angle on Pros versus Joes, and they had to take him down. And they had 3 minutes to take him down. If they didn't, they just used up their whole 3 minutes. If not, and Kurt was just trouncing. One guy did take him down. But that was at the end after he's wrestled two other guys.
Did he get a rest period between all of these?
And I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much rest time, but yeah, there were a few wrestlers on that show.
Okay.
Kurt was one of them, and Bill Goldberg in Football Equipment. You had to get past with the ball.
Wow. Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was about as good as when they had to fight Roy Jones Jr. in the ring when Roy Jones was in his prime. Yeah, it didn't work out well for that.
No. That show's probably not on anymore because someone probably died.
I loved watching that show. It was. Hey, what happens if you just take a guy who's a relatively decent athlete and put him in a ring against Kurt Angle?
Well, you get Pros versus Joes, I guess.
Oh, Kurt just German suplexes this poor kid. Oh.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good fun.
We should probably wrap this up.
All righty. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you have not yet, please click that subscribe button below. I think they actually moved it to below you.
Yeah, could be.
So it's there somewhere. It's red. You got a big triangle play button.
Yeah, it's below me.
All right. So click that subscribe button. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any fun memories with Kurt Angle, you can post them in the comments below. Share with us.
This week it'll be below you because normally you're on this side.
Oh, I'm always on this side. My view is different than yours.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like the video, share your comments below with your favorite Kurt Angle moments, and then how you would book him in a Champions of the Galaxy setting as well. While you're here, scroll on down to the description below where you can see all of our friends who make Filsinger Games related content. including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpree, the Filsinger Games Fancast from Grant, a solo promoter here on YouTube, Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling, also here on YouTube, and After Further Review here on YouTube. Over on Twitch, you'll find Matthew Butcher's Tiger Strike Painting. Check him out live, paint some very awesome miniatures. And you'll find me on Twitch as well. I stream a Champions of the Galaxy bootleg fed every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Might be spreading that out throughout the week in the coming months, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any Filsinger Games related content you'd like us to share, please shoot one of us a message and we'd be happy to include it below. So yeah, happy Galacticon, everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is when this we talked about this before. When this airs, it'll drop about 4 days before Galacticon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be down in Iowa. I'm going down. I know it doesn't come as much of a shock. I'm driving the 12 to 14 hours straight down there.
Nice.
It's going to be an interesting one. I don't think it's going to be that well attended.
I hope it is. I can't make it for several reasons, but
I think there's going to be a bunch of GWF Legends guys, but GWF guys, I don't think there's going to be that many of us.
I think it's because I'm not going to be there. I'd like to be there. I really would. I just can't make it work. There's a lot going on, some of which will be revealed soon in the personal life, but we'll talk about that later.
Yep.
Still too close to call, we'll say. And on that note, we'll see you next time, everybody.
Good night.
Later.